touring cars are sort of back on vogue in sim racing, aren't they? RaceRoom's pretty much rekindled a lot of people's love for the door-to-door tussles of fierce tin tops. It's a wonderful return to form, especially considering that the real-life state of touring car racing is all over the place. So, in the spirit of this lovely revival, let's take a look at 7 touring car games we at Overtake would recommend in 2025. Before we get going, let's look at the criteria for this little list of ours. We define touring cars not by dictionary. Rather, we use categories such as DTM, WTCC, BTCC, TCR, and such as a baseline. Championships which are known to be touring car competitions first and foremost. However, we are not focusing on extravagant sports cars, even if series such as DTM have gone down the route of these beauties in the past few years. Instead, we're looking for silhouette machines resembling day-to-day cars, super tourers, group N boxes, those kinds of categories and characters. Not all of these games only feature touring car racing in-game. Instead, we opted for titles that feature touring cars in what we deemed to be a significant amount. This could mean the inclusion of an entire championship grid, or at least something close enough, whether that's through official content or modding projects. Furthermore, the games shouldn't be too expensive, run on most people's hardware, and be relatively easy to set up. I have played all of these myself, yet I'm not gonna pretend to be an outright expert of every single facet of these titles. These are simply ideas as to what you might enjoy for some pre-Christmas station wagon fun in all kinds of different cars, on all kinds of different tracks, in all kinds of different genres. So, with that out of the way, let's start with the obvious choice. Yes, RaceRoom is currently on an upward trajectory, and while we can pin some of the success on its recent inclusion of super touring cars, it's not as though KW hasn't been leaning on such classics for years and years and years. Ahead of BTCC's finest boxes making their way into the sim, it was DTM-marvels such as the 1992 lineup or the 1995 grid producing waves of excitement in sim racing circles. Both can be considered among the absolute peaks of German touring car racing, both in terms of technology and sheer star power present. Add to this a vast array of TCR cars, mid-2000s masterpieces, or WTCC adventures, and you've got yourself a sizable package with lots of variety. My personal favorites are the 1995 DTM cars equipped with ludicrous amounts of technology, for the time that is. What about four-wheel drive, ABS, traction control, in-car weight adjustments, or these gorgeous, glorious, wonderful liveries? D2 Mannesmann Mercedes C-Klasse, my beloved. Furthermore, you can take these machines to many iconic venues of touring car racing such as the Norris Ring, POW, or the Guya circuit in Macau. With its revitalized online competition, expect to see many of these as part of RaceRoom's daily and weekly events. In terms of performance, RaceRoom tends to run very well, even on my somewhat potato-y computer. The only downside being that, just like in iRacing, you'll have to acquire most of these through the in-game shop. And while racing these beauties against racers all around the globe is a thrilling experience, I'm not gonna pretend as though AI competitors in single-player mode don't leave a lot to be desired. However, if you're looking to save some cash in your first steps into KW's RaceRoom, there is a Black Friday sale on offer until December 3rd, 2025. Sorry if you stumbled upon this video on December 4th or later. That said, if you're willing to turn back time and accept somewhat outdated graphics, KW Studios, formerly known as Simbin, does have another ace up its sleeve. Before before RaceRoom ever came to be, they released the official game of the World Touring Car Championship. As such, Race 07 features official cars and tracks, not just from the 2006 and 2007 WTCC seasons, but many more series such as STCC or the old WTCC. It might not hold up visually, though its AI manages to impress with solid racing, especially compared to its later counterpart. As if that wasn't exciting enough, Race 07 features a healthy number of modding projects. This means that DTM fans, BTCC veterans, or STW enthusiasts, yes, I know you're out there, can build their very own touring car universe within the game, especially with this incredible Super Touring project, which you can find over on our website. Multiplayer still works for those willing to work with a bit of IP/TCP trickery, allowing for co-op nights racing both your friends and AI competitors from the world of Priod, Müller, or Gabriele Taccuini.
Hi guys, I'm Gabriele Taccuini. Everyone dreams of being a champion race driver.
Wait, wrong game. Speaking of projects built around modding, we can't make a video like this without talking about Assetto Corsa. Yes, the game does struggle with its AI behavior and doesn't feature a particularly detailed damage model. That said, it has become the go-to sandbox in sim racing for a reason. Many adore the feel of lots of cars that feature in the Kunas project, whether they be officially released content or modding projects released by teams such as RSS or VRC. It should be no surprise then that Assetto Corsa's dedicated fans have implemented some classics of touring car history. For instance, we could talk about another brilliant Super Touring Car mod shining one more spotlight on this long-gone era of motor racing. Close fights, loud noises, superstars of their era going for first, in the case of John Cleland at least. We could refer to the early 2000s as well, with these DTM cars, the height of Audi versus Mercedes versus Opel in their silly silhouette machines. In fact, Michel talked about a bunch of essential touring car mods you can get for free for Assetto Corsa not too long ago. So it's not as though you're gonna have to break the bank for some beating and banging with friends. My personal pick would have to be DTM 2002 for the sheer nostalgia and glorious liveries such as the yellow apt Audi Hasseröder car. And while there has been a rumor that we might see these cars in RaceRoom soon, your best shot of recreating early 2000s DTM remains with Assetto Corsa. For now. But Alexis, you screaming banshee, don't you remember the DTM race driver games? I do, but there is a catch. See, back in the early 2000s, Codemasters managed to release a trilogy of games all across the world under differing names, where the UK would receive a series called TOCA Race Driver. The Bundesrepublik Deutschland was to witness 3 games in the DTM Race Driver series. And while there's an argument to be made that all 3 deserve a spot on here, I would argue that in 2025, it's not as easy to say. Getting any of these to run on a modern computer can be an absolute nightmare. That goes for both the original PC versions as well as the ports for PlayStation and Xbox. So unless you want to dive back into some childhood memories, it's not a trip I would recommend. That said, there is an alternative out there, developed under the same umbrella, that is much easier to run and features similar levels of variety. This was to be the final game of Codemasters' PS1 Masterclass. Cody's had managed to cement its status both through the Colin McRae series as well as the TOCA games, featuring the British Touring Car Championship front and center. That said, if you're looking for a retro racing experience with lots of variety, solid arcade physics, and an engaging single-player mode, TOCA World Tour is your best shout, in our book at least. Its handling improved considerably compared to the previous 2 entries as well, feeling significantly more forgiving on the gamepad. Bonus points for what is arguably the best intro in racing game history. I mean, it features footage from the 1999 STW season. Of course it's a banger. Its only downside, other than your necessity for enduring pixelated PlayStation aesthetics, while the game and tracks present are officially licensed, there are no real-life championships in-game. No STW, no BTCC, no STCC, heck, not even NASCAR, and that's despite the game literally being called Jarrett and Labonte Stock Car Racing in the US of A. Speaking of games actually based on the British Touring Car Championship, is this the part where we talk about R-Factor 2? I mean, I wouldn't call RF2 a great video game. It's a fantastic simulator for sure, meticulous in its depiction of racing, though marred with technical gremlins for over a decade. Still, Studio 397 has managed to impress with its take on current BTCC regs. The series might not be the talk of the town anymore, though that doesn't mean Tom Ingram, Ash Sutton, Jake Hill, or the rest of the gang aren't producing proper racing entertainment throughout their season. In fact, this specific era of BTCC is somewhat slept on in modern sim racing, despite most people's appreciation for old-school touring cars. No wonder that Motorsport Games was to release an official BTCC game at some stage. And with the success of Le Mans Ultimate, there might be potential for such a project to return. Moreover, R-Factor 2 features quite a few mods supporting an immersive touring car racing experience, especially if you're into, you know, super tours. Is this getting a bit repetitive? Other projects include a 2007 DTM season and the BMW M4 Class 1 from 2021. The latter would have featured in that year's DTM championship if it wasn't for the death of Class 1 racing in Germany. Thanks, Audi. We can point to RF2 not being immensely expensive and featuring lots of cars and tracks to try. Nonetheless, amongst all the games we talk about today, it was and still is by far the most difficult to run, in our humble opinion. Not impossible, not unbearable, but something to consider for those tipping their proverbial toes into the well of touring car racing. So far, we've looked at somewhat mainstream projects, Super Tours, DTM, BTCC, TCR, and the like. Yet when it comes to the more obscure stuff, we can take a look at Raza's track record and find something remarkable. As enjoyable as Automobilista 2 is, it doesn't feature the sheer amount of mods that its predecessor does. We're going to talk about that more in depth in the near future, but we'd like to acknowledge modding projects such as the incredible Group 5 release, featuring cars from the late 70s and early 80s, recreating a long-forgotten era of German touring car racing. We should mention the Pro Car series, recently featured in a Jimmy Broadbent video, turning heads all across South America. Additionally, we could refer to countless conversions from R-Factor 1, though not fully utilizing the game's capabilities. Or we could just take a look at what Raza themselves chose to introduce. The Brazilian studio managed to eke out its own niche by focusing on local touring car series and tracks. As such, the game features stunning brutes similar to what we'd find in V8 supercar racing or late 2000s DTM. Uncompromising silhouette machines that make you question the term stock in Brazilian stock car racing. With all of these different cars and unique circuits in mind, and projects like the AMS1 quality of life patch in the works, you really shouldn't sleep on Automobilista 1, despite the existence of its more popular successor. Also, it's quite a bit cheaper than its sequel as well, including all kinds of DLC packs for around about 27 quid. I might be a little bit biased, though, she said, still active in Automobilista 1 leaks to this very day. Do you know where you can find some scintillating online racing action? Of course, because you
can become a premium member on our website, overtake.gg.
It's not just about the daily news, forums, guides, and downloads. It's also a vibrant community. Premium members enjoy extra benefits such as an ad-free browsing experience, special community deals, discounts, and Overtake Turbo, which provides setups, coaching, and one free esports setup per month powered by Track Titan. There is also a racing club where you can race with great, fair people without worrying about your driver or safety rating.
And if you love unboxing sim racing gear just as we do, there's a premium member giveaway every month. You can win pedal sets, handbrakes, and nice steering wheels. SimLab. Another cool feature are community reviews, so you can have a chance to contribute and share your opinion on not yet released hardware or games.
Have your voice heard and help shape the future of sim racing. Join as a premium member on overtake.gg for just €1 a month.
Am I getting better at this? Maybe, though the final game in our list doesn't feature a modern online multiplayer, sadly. Sega used to dominate the world of arcade gaming in the 1990s. Not something I would have had a chance to witness myself. I was born in 1999. Sorry. But thankfully, the Sega Saturn was to receive iconic arcade classics such as Daytona USA and Sega Rally, and, well, Sega Touring Car Championship. Sadly, we can't use the game's incredible soundtrack, but I promise looking up the OST is well worth your time, especially if you enjoy the vibes of Initial D-style Eurobeat. Sega Touring Car Championship is the most arcade out of our magnificent 7, thus you get to indulge in extravagant wagons like the Mercedes C-Class, the Alfa Romeo 155, the Opel Calibra, and the Toyota Supra. Fans will know that it's not the easiest arcade adventure to master. In fact, it's notoriously difficult and possibly frustrating for sim racers carrying a short fuse. Still, I chose to include this gem not just because of its legendary cars and the kick-ass soundtrack. Running Sega Touring Car Championship in 2025 on Windows 10 is shockingly easy. You need to find the game somewhere, wink wink, nudge nudge, we can't give you a download link, please stop asking. Install it on your lovely machine of choice, chuck in this specific patch just in case, and you're good to go. Give it a shot. The worst that can happen is that you might lose a bit of time and possibly shout a few expletives at the top of your lungs. Depending on your patience, you can even try running the arcade original with your modern sim racing wheel. Just keep in mind that might require a bit more tinkering. But do you have any other touring car games in mind? Let us know in the comments below. Until then, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, we'd highly appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Remember to click the bell so YouTube remembers that you actually like us, sort of. And as always, keep racing. Bye bye!